certain baseball team yet again streaking in the wrong direction. Well, the NBA, it takes center stage, including one young phenom stepping into his first playoff game and wasting no time making a little bit of history. We'll take you straight to the action. MVP finalist Victor Wembanyama making his first career playoff appearance, and we'll show you more of that history we speak of. Mid-first quarter, Wemby spins and drops it in with the two-handed slam, part of a 15-3 run to put the Spurs up 6. The alien just making the fans go crazy, including, hey, some Spurs greats, David Robinson and Tim Duncan. Late second, Wemby dribbles to the corner and drills the fadeaway tray. Wemby with 21 points at the half. That's the most in a playoff debut and a half since 1996. Now, early fourth, Wemby in the paint, plays through the double team, leads it in, plus the foul. Spurs up 21 after the made free throw, under 6 to go. Wemby pulls up for 3 and cashes it. What are we witnessing right now? Wemby finishing with 35 points, 5 of 6 from three-point land. The Spurs take a 1-0 series lead in the first round, their first playoff win since 2019. Their first Game 1 win at home since 2017. As for the Blazers, now 3-13 across their last 16 playoff games. But more about this alien. Historic. Victor Wembanyama dropping 35. That's the most points ever by a Spur in his first career playoff game, and he does it passing a legend in Tim Duncan. Listen, some players just make their playoff debuts, but Victor Wembanyama, he made history in his. And now we bring in CBS Sports NBA analyst John Gonzalez. And John, you already know where I'm going with this one. We got to start this conversation talking about what we saw from Victor Wembanyama making his playoffs debut. He finishes 5 of 6 from distance, over 61% from 2 for a 35-point night. That's the most points by a Spur in their playoff debut ever. What did you make of his announcing of himself in the playoffs?
Yeah, when you pass Tim Duncan on any list, it's a good night for you, right? And he looked phenomenal, and this is what we expect. And the crowd's chanting MVP, and he was named a finalist today. He's not going to win that award. He's going to be Defensive Player of the Year, which is announced tomorrow. But what a season for him. And this beginning here, we talked about how he doesn't have any playoff experience. The Spurs, by and large, don't have any playoff experience. Neither do the Blazers, really, outside of, say, Drew Holiday. But this is all sort of learning on the fly for the Spurs. And the first test they passed with flying colors. They looked really good tonight. Victor Wembanyama looked really good. You know, I wonder, Kiana, there's a big chunk of the third quarter and the fourth where they didn't really even need him, right? He just was sitting on the bench because the Spurs ended up padding their lead. Imagine if he wanted to go for more than that. He could have very easily put up 40, 45. So great first playoff game for Wemby.
Yeah, no playoff experience, no problem, at least from what we saw in Game 1 from the Spurs. But they did come into this game with a business-like mentality. The entire team showing up pregame in black suits. Kelly Olynyk initiating the idea, but saying that this is because the Spurs mean business. But what stood out to you most about just how this young team was able to deliver?
Yeah, a couple of things. I mean, one, I love the team camaraderie. Everybody wearing the black suits, love that. Planning to bury the Blazers, the poor Portland Trailblazers. The defense, especially, I thought was excellent tonight. I mean, look, they were third in defensive rating this season, the best record since the All-Star break. No playoff experience, and the moment didn't seem too big for them, right? They just did what they do, which is play great defense and run through their best 3 guys. Wemby had 35, but Fox had a great game tonight, and so did Stephon Castle, who could also end up making all defense along with Victor Wembanyama. And then beyond that, the one other thing I wanted to flag here is just the disparity in three-point shooting. I mean, the Spurs have shooters, and the Blazers very much do not, right? The Blazers shot 26% from 3 tonight, and the Spurs went 45% from deep. And that's just such a massive gap for the Blazers to try to close. I mean, Denny Avdia had a great game, and then pretty much nobody else did. Only 2 players in double figures for the Blazers, just Denny and Scoot Henderson. That's danger zone for the Blazers. This was always going to be a tall task for them. We talked about this. I gave them 1 game and a gentleman's sweep. I'm not sure that they even got that one because the Spurs, that defense is really suffocating.
Okay, let's dive more into the Blazers because they did rally back a little bit there in the final final few minutes of the game. Obviously not enough. You talk about Avdia having another big night, but like you mentioned, Clingan, Holiday, and Camaro combining for 21 points. Did San Antonio just make Portland too dependent on Avdia, or what was it there?
Yeah, I mean, Denny showed up. He's had a phenomenal season. He could end up as the most improved player in the NBA. Outside chance of making all NBA. I have him on the outside of the third team, but still a slight chance. And he's had a fantastic season, right? But everybody else, I mean, they needed more from Drew Holiday tonight. He was a really good facilitator. He had 10 assists, but he only went 4 for 14 from the floor. Donovan Clingan was a no-show. That's a key on this one. If they want to steal a game, they really need Donovan Clingan to hit some of those outside shots in order to pull Victor Wembanyama away from the basket, because that becomes a no-fly zone. Nobody wants to go into the paint when Victor Wembanyama is down there. So they need Donovan Clingan to hit some shots from the outside to keep Victor Wembanyama honest, bring him out of the paint and open that up so they can sort of drive the lane. And right now they can't do that. But yeah, it's tough because the Spurs defense is legit, right? I mean, not only is it Victor Wembanyama, but then on the perimeter, Fox gives you a good effort. Champagny and Vassell are really underrated defenders. And then again, Stephon Castle, I have him making second team all defense. So that's just so much to ask of a Blazers team that this is really sort of like a placeholder for next year. You know, they're in the playoffs. They're happy to do it. They haven't been there since 2021. You know, they get Dame back next year. This is just something to build on for them.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're talking about what needs to be done. I feel like it's a full team effort when you're trying to slow down Victor Wembanyama, especially having a performance that we saw making his postseason debut. But nonetheless, we'll get to see more of it because Game 2 is Tuesday at 8, and I know you'll be all over it. We'll talk to you soon, John. Thank you. The Thunder begin their title.
Has a better chance to take over a playoff series right now.
It's going to be fun. This is going to be a fun one to watch. It's going to be a sleeper, if you will. I still think the Spurs are going to come out on top of this one. They have the offense, they have the defense, but I wouldn't make it, you know, for me, this is not going to be a sweep. I know a lot of people are saying, oh, the Portland Trailblazers don't stand a chance. People haven't been watching the Portland Trailblazers this season if that's how they feel. This is a defensive team, I believe top 5 in defense this season. And also they have the offensive firepower that can go off on any given night. Now, in comparison to what San Antonio does, yes, it's not quite the same, but I definitely think that you can expect Portland to pull out a game, maybe even 2, depending on what versions of the San Antonio Spurs show up and show out. But look, Victor Wembanyama is Victor Wembanyama, and he's the alien for a reason, and I just don't think that anybody on Portland has the answer for him, which is why I think that the Spurs are going to be able to pull this one out.
It's going to be fun to watch. We get to see it all go down at 9 p.m. Eastern time. That's our nightcap. Ashley Nicole Moss joining us live here on CBS Sports HQ, but all of the action for the NBA playoffs in this first round begins at 1 Eastern with the 76ers and Celtics.